What is happening, everybody? Luke Darling here. So on today's video, we're going to be jumping into surveys. What are surveys? Surveys are the forms that you probably filled out in some capacity where you're able to ask questions. And the cool thing is based off the questions we ask, we can do different things with their answers. Qualify, disqualify, using logic. We're going to jump into some pre-made ones already to kind of help understand things, but we're also going to show you how to create one from scratch, how to add things, how to move it around, and how to plug it into existing funnels, existing websites, so you can begin using surveys and creating these and putting them throughout your funnels or wherever you want that makes sense for you. This could be used from everything from generating leads to onboarding new team members to your business. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in and get busy. All right, so for navigation purposes, I'm just going to give you a little lay of the land. So we are over here on the left-hand side. We're going to be clicking on sites, and then we're going to be scrolling over across the bar here to surveys. Now, when we get to surveys, there's going to be builder, analyze, and submissions. Under this is where we're creating them. This is where we're going to see stats, and this is where we're going to be able to see all of the different types of actual leads that came in based off of where they're at. So primarily today, going to focus on the builder portion and how to create it. So I'm going to click in here. Now, if you are, you may have completely blank slate. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to walk through one that's in here already. If you're a client of ours, you're going to see some that are already in here. But I'm going to click on this buyer and refi survey. Now this one is actually put together with some additional code to pull in these images and stuff. So I want to give you an idea of what's possible, but then also kind of break down just the basic building blocks of how to go about making one yourself. So I'm going to walk you through this kind of right here and give you an idea of what we're looking at navigation wise. So over here on the right hand side, these are the different components that we can use to build out our funnels. We have our fields. These are all drag and drop where you can pull them in. And then styles. This is going to give us functionality of showing labels. This is like turning off the branding, which generally we'll want to do. You can change the different fonts and color, background, border. And this is where we're going to add in custom CSS. We want to change specific things of that. Now, generally, you're not going to need to get into any of that type of stuff, but the functionality is there. Now, scrolling through, moving through these options here, where we get to the options section here, this is where we're going to name it. So based off of whatever you are doing, we want to be able to say, hey, this is, new team member onboarding form or new home buyer application or whatever you're creating that survey for. This is where we're going to name it and have that live so we can know where to find it and what it's for. Now here's some basic logic for each survey that you're going to make. Now on the submit, what do we want to happen with it? Now you can set this like default here, but you also will have, when you jump in and add this to, if you're plugging this in on a funnel, you can use the logic there saying like, hey, I don't want to use this default logic, but when somebody submits an application or when somebody submits a survey, they complete the survey, what do I want to do with them? Where do I want them to go? Now here, you can just have it, this submit is, you have just a general message, it just goes to a blank page and says, thank you for submitting your information, we'll be in contact. So whatever you put here is what's going to show up. So you can have, at least they have somewhere to go. Now you can have them go different places. So if you want them to go to like a specific URL. So a good use case on this would be like, let's say somebody fills out a new home buyer survey and they're answering all the questions, and you want them to go to like your Google review page, or you want them to go to a calendar appointment booking page. You can send them wherever you want, and this is where we would plug this in. And you can plug in, you said open URL, and then rather than the message, you have a spot to add in a URL there. So now I'll get into some of this other stuff here a little bit further on, but disqualifying. Now this is where we have logic. Now you may want to disqualify, for whatever reason, but you can use this, and I'll show you how when we get into manipulating and changing out some of this stuff, is like if somebody doesn't meet a certain criteria, or they fall within, in this, using this as a specific case, if somebody has poor credit, something along those lines, we want to disqualify them. Now, what do we want to do with that person when we disqualify them? So if we're disqualifying them, do we just want to say, sorry, you don't meet the criteria to be eligible, or do we want to send them to a specific URL? Now, in a lot of cases, a lot of people will have, you might be generating leads, but you are not the person, if they don't meet your criteria to work with you, you may want to send them somewhere else. So in sticking with the theme of this here, let's say for example, if somebody doesn't meet the criteria to qualify for based off of credit, well, we might not want to just throw that away. We might want to send that person directly to a referral partner for credit repair. So we can actually reroute that person to go over to a credit repair person, or we could have a page that's built specifically for our referral partners, where it's like, hey, click on a list of credit repair companies here that may be able to help increase your credit score. So that's some logic that you can use directly into the survey itself. There's this disqualify after submit. So let's say we want to continue to gather all of that information and not disqualify them immediately. This is how we would do that there. And again, I'll show you exactly how to do that within the context of an actual survey question. Some things that we can do here is add in our Facebook pixel. One of the really cool things with this is, and a use case that we can do is, let's say for example, we want to continuously optimize and improve the quality of our leads and the people who we're going after. So for every person who's qualified and our ideal client, well, we want to tell Facebook or Instagram, I want more types of these people. So what we do is we plug in our pixel here, and then based off of somebody who is qualified, we can set a conversion for them. So let's say we're they're a lead, or just depending upon whatever you want to do. Leads obviously a good one, and so you can have that after they submit right there. So there's a couple different functionalities that you can do for the Facebook Pixel event. So this is like the page view is like anybody who comes to your survey right away. How do we want to classify them? So generally speaking, just page view is fine at this point, unless you want to continue to optimize a little bit further, but page view is fine for there. On form submission, this is where we can begin to, improve and optimize our qualification, and then run conversion campaigns later on down the road. This may be a little bit more on the advanced side of things for a lot of people. We have more training on that, but generally don't recommend starting out at this point. But you can say, hey, I want, after they submit, they meet the criteria, they qualify, I'm going to classify this person as a purchase or a lead, however we want to continue to optimize. Then we can run conversion campaigns based off of this specific event. Now, moving on down through the options that we have here, we have survey fields, one question at a time. Generally always like to have one question at a time, and this is where you just have one question, and then it's going to go to the next one after you answer it, and that'll make more sense after we test out and show you this here. Then we have a back button. Do we want to include a back button? If so, we can have it here. If not, then they're just going to be able to, they can only go forward, right? And then there's auto navigation, progress bar, animation. The progress bars are like, seeing how far along the survey that they are. And then same thing with the animations, like how far are they doing. So it's just some additional things that you have there. Now, you can have a banner image here. Most of the time, these are not going to operate as like standalone. You're going to plug them into a funnel. So you probably don't need to mess with anything there. And that is pretty straightforward as far as like the options are concerned. Now, when we are digging into this stuff here, there's for the fields, we have standard fields, and then we have custom fields. So the standard fields are everything that you normally would think about: name, number, email, organization, city, address, postal code, everything that is right here. Now our custom fields, these are things that we can create on our own and add in, and there's a ton of different variables and options. Now, if you are on our platform, there's going to be a lot of like pre-made ones that are already in here that you can choose from, that you can add in. But I want to show you how to create one, and we'll jump into that right now. All right, so when let's say we want to make our own custom fields, just kind of walk you through the process of doing that. I'm going to go ahead and hit add custom field, and there's another place you can get to this back in the settings section, but you do have the option of coming in directly through here. Now there is, as you can see, there's many different options that you can choose in regards to creating these custom fields, and feel free to play around with them. I'm just going to kind of talk you through a couple of them. There's file up, starting from the bottom here, file upload. So let's say, for example, you need people to upload pictures or documents or whatever. You can actually have that directly in here. Maybe you want somebody to do a signature. You can add it in a signature so they can, scroll, with their finger right there. Some of the more popular and common ones that we'll do is checkbox and radio. And then there's number, phone, monetary. These ones are basically tags where people can type stuff in. So single line is just like enter in your answer here. So I'm going to walk you through a radio one, because a lot of the ones that we're having here are built off of radio. I personally prefer these just as far as like, to give you an idea, this is like you click it and it automatically goes to the next question, and it makes it very, very like there's less friction when you're doing that. So I'm going to click on this one and give you an example of what a radio is. And so right here, what we do is we name this field. So as an example, from the form that we're on right now, like credit score. What's your estimated credit score available? You would type that in, and then from here we enter in our options. You can add as many options as you want here. So less than 620, 620 to 680, so on and so forth down the row here. Now you can have them automatically assigned. So these are just generally speaking, this is going to go to a contact, so it's like an individual person, and then you can have contact, general info, or additional info. These are going to be like, where does this live in the context of the lead that you get? So when that lead is a contact, where's this information going to go? Because we want this information to live somewhere, and it's going to be applied to a contact, and this is where it's going to show up on the contacts page in your platform. So so that's walking you through some basic functionality there. You can have it where it will allow a custom value, and this is just where people like type stuff in. You can add as many of these options as you want. Generally speaking, I try to limit it to about 3 to 4 responses, just so it doesn't end up getting cluttered, or it fits well in mobile format and things like that. So once you have that set, you'll have your field name, this is where we're going to look for it in the survey to move it over from this section here. We can pull it over. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this out there because we don't need that. And exit out here. Cool. So now that we've gone through pretty much all that good stuff, I'm going to give you an idea of what this looks like. Now, if you're ready to, this is like after you've been building it out and you want to check out what you're doing, come down here to integrate survey. And this is if you want to move this somewhere else. So you can take this, and if you want to plug this in, if you already have an existing website or something you want to put this somewhere, you can take this iframe and plug it in wherever that may be. Internally, if you're using our funnels in your account, you can select the survey directly in the funnel. But to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, here's a direct link, and we click on this, and it's going to open this up. And how much house can you afford? So this is what this survey looks like going through, and you can just kind of give an idea of purchase, townhome. This is my primary home, and I'm going to be in Austin. Have you found a new home? Currently working with a real estate agent. No, I would not I just want to get rates right now. I'm shopping, considering you need to sell your own home. No. Estimated purchase price. So you get the idea. It's just going to fly through everything here. And I don't have any. I'm with Wells Fargo. Not my first time. So you get the idea. That's what this looks like here. Now I'm going to go back over to the survey, and we don't need to go through everything there, but you get the idea. You got your email, phone number, all that stuff all the way down, and bankruptcy. So you can ask, pretty much any questions that you want going through here. Now, a lot of this stuff here is like custom made, but I'm going to walk you through creating a brand new one, and so we have a good idea of just that functionality there. We're going to go ahead and create a new survey. And you can see this, it's got that branding there. So we're actually going to go and turn that off because we don't need that. It's on style, agency branding, we're going to turn that off. So you can see there's that agency branding. We don't want that, this company out there cluttering up your stuff there. And we're going to go back over to the fields, and let's say, okay, I want to start out with first name, last name, and this is demo, and we don't want to do anything. There's nothing that we want to set here at this point in time. But what we want to do is we want to add a new slide. So we're just getting first name, last name. Then we're going to add a new slide here. And on this one, we're going to want to get phone number and email. Then we want to add a new slide here. So each one of these is going to be its own separate thing. And you can also reorganize these too. If you want to move them around, you can take the whole thing and slide it up, slide it down to reorganize it that way. You're like, actually, you know what? I want this one up here. I want this one down there. And okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this one. I'm going to reorganize it up here. So I actually want this one up here. I want to start out with my custom fields. How much would you like to borrow? And let's see, are you looking to that? So again, a lot of times we're just going to do one question per slide. So I'll say, oops, I just did that there. I can either delete this there, or I can take this and scroll it down to that next one, and then I'm there. So add a new slide, and I'm going to go some standard fields over here. This one I'm just going to do city. Oops. This one I'm going to do city, This one I'm going to do state. So you get the idea. You can play around with it. And coming back to this one, let's say, for example, just touching on some of the logic. So we want to, on this one, are you looking to purchase or refinance? I'm going to have this one as a required field. And if somebody says they want to refinance, I don't want them to go down like regular general purchasing stuff. So it's like, let's say, for example, I just want them to go on another separate path. Then I'm going to go pick a slide, and then I can pick back up at that specific slide. So let's say, just for example, I'm going to say, slide number 6. Now, at slide number 6, I can say, add in different questions that are specific towards that journey of that path, of that whatever you're asking. Now, say, for example, this is a situation where I actually want to just disqualify this person based off of this answer. If they're refinancing, I'm not interested in moving forward with that person right now. I'm going to go ahead and disqualify them after they submit that answer if they select this. So they select refinance, and then they're going to go through and answer whatever questions, and then we're going to give them, redirect them to the disqualification message. So let's see, let's go ahead and we'll save this, and we'll just take a quick peek at what this looks like, in its raw form. There's nothing, no beauty of this thing here. So just, how much would you look to borrow? 100,000. And you got this, you could see all this stuff there. So there it is, just real basic, real simple. You can kind of, whip something up really quick, play around with it. Just again, there's tons of functionality that you can do. And if you're looking for some inspiration, if you're plugged in here, there's some stuff that's already kind of in here already that you can kind of build off of or use. Like here's something where we have images built into each one, so it's specific to this. You can pretty much plug this in anywhere. You get the idea, and it's kind of all there. And you can play around with some of this. If you're plugged in here, you can see how all that stuff works. So really quickly, before we go, I'll show you kind of like internally how you plug them into a funnel, so you have an idea of like, okay, this is where I would plug this in. All right. So in sticking with the theme of the purchase and mortgage application, we'll jump into a funnel. So same general area. We're in sites, funnels. And again, you can plug this in anywhere you want, whether it's on your WordPress or websites, or if you have websites built in here. But I'm going to go to funnels, and I'm going to go down to this funnel here, this mortgage pre-approval. And then I'm going to go ahead and on this page here, I'm going to go ahead and click and edit in a new page. I always like to work out of a new page rather than starting in this page itself. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then it's going to open up the editing portion of this funnel page. Give you a little idea. So this one's obviously already pre-made, ready, built in right there. And this is where the survey lives on this specific funnel page. So what we do over here in the editing section is we scroll down to, once we click on that, we're going to go down, and this is going to give us some additional functionality to edit, adjust stuff. But here's where we would be able to change out the survey. Now this one right now already has the new home buyer survey, but we can go pick that demo if we want to pick that the one with a little bit more that looks a little bit better. We have that right there, so it's like the images there, so you can go ahead and plug that in there. And then, as I was mentioning before, earlier on, there's this section where you can either, based off of their answers, like where do we want to do with them. So this is going to have the priority over the survey response stuff, like where you want it to go after. So if, like, what do we want to do after the person's done? Do we want to go to another website, next step in the funnel, so on and so forth. So you can manage that from there as well. But there you go. I'm going to go ahead and pop this back. So you get the idea of how that all works. And save, and we're good to go. So there you have it, guys. Surveys. There's a lot of functionality. There's a lot to play around with there. Generally speaking, as with everything, start out simple and build on your knowledge base as you get going. Let's rock and roll.